Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Montreal. It's time for the finals. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Paul Cheon. We've got Paul Dean versus Maxime Albin, and we are underway.
Oh, no.
The names are switched, it looks.
It's got to be Paul Dean against Kevin Jones.
Yeah,
right?
Kevin Jones is the one on the right-hand side there, not Maxime. Apologies for that. We will get it sorted out quickly.
Right.
In the meantime...
Whoa!
Oh, Paul Dean. He's got the Attune with Ether, but no green source. And now we're going to see Kevin Jones start to really play quickly because he's like...
And again, Paul Dean kind of cut a couple of green sources from his deck, right, to make room. Although, to be fair, one of those lands isn't a Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, but keeping a one-lander on the draw, it looks like.
Well, we were talking earlier that Game 1 in the Marvel Mirror tends to not be very interactive. This wasn't quite what we had in mind, but I guess we delivered on our promise of that.
Paul has to have like a Marvel in hand or something, right? I imagine he probably kept a hand where he's got all the energy, and if he just draws a forest, he can basically try to Marvel on turn 4, because that's the only card that's really important Game 1.
Kevin Jones is going to fire off Whirler Virtuoso. Now, he has not cast a Marvel here on turn 4, and Paul Dean's going to be discarding.
Yeah. I just imagine you're in the finals of the Grand Prix. Your opponent just keeps a one-lander.
Yeah. And he just immediately starts discarding cards.
Wow, and Kevin getting aggressive here, making Thopters.
I love it.
Yeah.
And what's going to punish him in Game 1 here, right?
There could be a Sweltering Suns, but if you look at Paul's list, his only way to sweep the board, 2 copies of Chandra Flamecaller, and Paul is not close.
And remember, these players get to look at each other's deck list, so Kevin knows that there's no Sweltering Sun, so he is just dropping the hammer, and that's game. I mean, might as well scoop him up, Paul.
Right.
All right. Well, again, Game 1, not generally super interactive, though that wasn't quite what we had in mind.
Right.
But Game 1's over. Kevin Jones is up a game, and he just needs to win one of the next 2 games to be our GP Montreal champion.
It wasn't even a turn 4 Ulamog. It was just... turn 3 Rogue Refiner, turn 4 Whirler Virtuoso.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back with more finals action from Montreal right after these messages. And welcome back to coverage here at Grand Prix Montreal. We're playing Standard. We had a very quick game number 1. Kevin Jones, well, he just played a few spells. He didn't do anything special, but Paul Dean kept a risky one-lander and was not able to get there. And Kevin just ran him over as Paul really... I mean, he literally only found 1 land for the duration of the game.
It looked like Paul basically had the ideal hand. He had all the energy, and he had the potential to cast a turn 4 Marvel. But so he kind of kept the risky hand on the draw with the Spiral Canal. Really needed to find a green source. He was on the draw. I believe he has 15 sources of green mana in his deck. So given that he has a couple of draws for the Attune with Ether, maybe he wanted to kind of take that chance. And so Paul Dean, again, made his deck so that he is favored Game 1. But I think after sideboard, both of the decks just kind of become the same, right? Now you have both decks with a bunch of those sensors, multiple copies of Negate and Dispel, and a bunch of Tireless Trackers. So I imagine both sides are going to be bringing a lot of those cards in. Again, Kevin Jones on the draw, so maybe he wants to kind of prevent Paul from getting out with some kind of an aggressive start. He might consider bringing in some copy of Sweltering Suns on the draw, maybe take him out when you're on the play because you want to be the aggressor. Worst case scenario, you can't cycle it. It's a little more of a risk when you bring in something like a Radiant Flames because it has a potential to just sit in your hand.
When it's bad, it's dead.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is a risk for sure.
Yeah.
Well, who's it going to be? Paul Dean or Kevin Jones? Certainly looking like Kevin Jones at this point, being spotted a game effectively.
Right.
It's going to skew those odds in his favor.
10 life, it looks like.
That's brutal.
Yeah. So Paul Dean does have the main deck Dissenter's Deliverances to kind of deal with the Resolve Marvel, but Kevin is also bringing in a couple of answers as well. He's got a Manglehorn and also an Appetite for the Unnatural in his sideboard. I know the primary plan is to just prevent it from actually resolving, but sometimes, they protect the Marvel with a Dispel or a Negate, so sometimes it hits the board, and you need to have some outs. And Kevin is going up to second Torrential Gearhulk in the sideboard. I'm not sure if Paul Dean is playing any. Yeah, he's got 0 Torrential Gearhulks in his 75.
You'll remember Kevin Jones, he played at the World Magic Cup for the United States. Paul Dean, he plays for Team Mastrop West, I believe.
Okay.
At the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I did an interview with him, in fact, just at the last Pro Tour, just to check up on the team and see how things were going.
How are they doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
On the front page, maybe? Probably slightly better than Team Fire, would be my guess, just in the dark.
No. I'm not saying anything.
Well, we did have dinner after day 1. There were 8 of us. Only one of us made day 2.
This is Team Channel Fireball Fire?
Oh, a combination of Fire and Mutiny. And the one person who made day 2 in that dinner was Raptor, Josh Utter-Layton, and his record was 4-4. The only upside
is a tough tournament for you guys.
The only upside is we did have a member who actually won the Pro Tour.
That's not bad.
He didn't have dinner with us, though. His record was too good for us. He had dinner with Josh Cho.
No, it's his best friend. We'll let him slide there. That's great.
We were at kind of like the kiddie table. Like,
you guys were looking over at him and Josh having dinner. Yeah. Like, hey, guys, good job.
Right.
We're real proud of you.
Yeah. Please carry us to an X6 finish, maybe.
No kidding. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah. Kevin with a pretty solid hand there. He does have an Ulamog in hand. Not really something you want to be seeing in the opener, but again, we saw kind of the mirror, just the games do kind of go long. It does get to the point where you just start hard casting Ulamogs, and often the first person to cast their Ulamog just wins the game. And Paul, with the 2 copies of the Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, has still got to be feeling okay, but did he take a mulligan here? Oh no. This is the multi-6 tank.
This is 6. Yeah, he's already on 6.
Is this a one-lander? He is not happy about this hand.
One-landers have not been kind to him in the finals.
He does get a scry.
He's going to mulligan.
Oh.
Okay,
wow.
So we know going down to 5 is
Ooh,
bad.
He's a looker.
I saw he didn't the first time, but this time he's falling apart in front of our eyes. No, but seriously, we know obviously that going down to 5 cards is bad. But
yeah,
it is dependent on the matchup how bad it actually is. I mean, Paul, does he have ways to dig back out of this? Is he going to be under a lot of pressure from Kevin, or will he have some time to kind of, form a game plan here?
Yeah, the thing is, traditionally, Marvel does do a pretty good job of mulliganing, especially in game 1s against decks that don't have a lot of disruption, right? Because honestly, all you need in a 2 and a Puzzle Knot and a Marvel, and everything else can just be lands, and you'll be totally fine.
Well, his 5 does consist of at least 1 Ulamog, but it looks okay otherwise. It's got a sensor.
Well, he's got blue cards, but a forest and a mountain.
Yes, I know, but look, dude.
Yeah.
You're not shipping that, right?
No, I mean, you have
to find
lands.
A blue source, you have a sensor and a gate. Obviously he's not happy.
This has got to be so rough.
But Paul's been here before. You know, Paul has a Pro Tour top 8. He made the top 4 at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. He's been under the lights.
Right.
He's felt the pressure. He knows what he needs to do. And I mean, I'm not going to say he's happy about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a non-blue source going down to the bottom. Pretty miserable stuff here for Paul Dean. He's just going to say Forrest go. Let's see what Kevin has, though, because okay, well, it's a good start for Kevin. He's got an attuned either.
Well, I mean, Kevin's got 7 cards in hand. So
that's true. That's true. But it is interesting because, you know, I've had those situations where I felt demoralized after having mulligan to 5.
Right.
And only to realize that my opponent, who kept 7, kept a bad 7, right? Like they were missing a color, or they go second land and they go, and you're like, oh, you know, you get that little twinge like, oh, do I have a chance?
Yeah, that's definitely happened where you see your opponent mulliganing, they're a bit dejected, and you're like, okay, maybe I'll keep this hand because he's mulliganing, and then you kind of don't get there because you kept like a 2-lander, for example.
Exactly.
But Kevin's hand, I mean, it's got plenty of mana. He does have an Ulamog as well, so, you know, those kind of are effectively mulligans in early game.
This needs to be a blue source here for Paul. Oh.
Yeah.
He drew a Rogue Refiner the turn prior, and now I mean, look, if he finds a blue source, he might be able to make it work.
Yeah, and Kevin's got Rogue Refiner, and it looks like a Glimmer of Genius as well in his hand. So
well,
this is just...
we had a good run.
This might just be an end.
This
wow.
is just
Paul's not even...
Paul. Man,
has he even cast a spell?
No, you got to feel he hasn't cast a spell.
He might not.
In the finals.
He might lose the finals without casting a single spell.
You got to feel for Paul here. This is just a beating, man.
Not like this.
Kevin Jones, mercifully quick here.
He might just run out the main phase Glimmer because Paul might draw a blue source.
Yeah, it's another uncastable spell for Dean.
Wow.
And this one is falling apart quickly for our Canadian hero here. The American Invader looks cool and comfortable as he casts a Glimmer of Genius against an opponent who has yet to cast a spell against him in the finals.
I mean, these decks are pretty good when you're playing Solitaire, so...
Yeah, these decks are very, you know, they can certainly drop the hammer on you.
Yeah. Kevin is just
we could just see it here
at this point.
If he, all right, well, he's going to attack first, but I mean, if he has the Aetherworks Marvel,
he might just have a tracker here. He just goes tracker land maybe. Oh no, I see a Rogue Refiner. I don't know if he has a tracker though.
Another Rogue Refiner would be just fine.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's up to what, 9 energy now?
Yeah. Just all of the energy.
As I say, that one I don't think goes to 9. Draw a card. Yeah. He's leaving up Negate and Harness Lightning. Yeah. He's got 6 power on the battlefield, and you have to feel like
he's discarding.
He's going to discard. This is the turn. If he doesn't hit a blue source here, I think the tournament's over.
Yeah, I think even if he hits a blue source, it's likely too late.
I agree. But I'm saying if he didn't, it's just game.
Right.
He did hit an Ether Hub, though, so that gives him a Rogue Refiner to block.
Right.
Now, it's going to get Harness Lightning, but still, it gives him one to block.
And it gives him energy, so the Ether Hub still produces blue mana.
And he drew an island.
All right.
I'm not really as excited as I sounded. He's still so far behind here.
Yeah.
He's taking 6 no matter what. And, of course, Kevin can also just draw an Aetherworks Marvel at any point here.
Right. And Kevin even has the negate backup if Paul somehow manages to get 6 energy and draw a Marvel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Kevin Jones is going to win this thing.
Ooh, okay. So Paul has got to be kind of happy that Kevin ran out a puzzle knot because that's just not a threat.
It's about the best case scenario for Paul. But also Kevin's going to pass the turn with 4 mana up.
Right.
And Paul knows that whatever he does is going to be countered or dealt with on some level.
What do we have?
A Tireless Tracker.
Okay. Well, that's not bad.
Yeah. He already had one, but...
He's going to play one, follow it up with a land, and then he gets to cycle a Sensor.
Yeah.
And Kevin's going to fire off another Harness Lightning here.
Indeed.
Get Paul down to 2. So...
That resolves. Go up to 100 energy.
Roughly, yes. Yeah, Kevin basically needs to just like draw blanks for...
There's an Aetherworks Marvel, Paul.
or an Aetherworks Marvel. Wow.
I don't know that he needs it. He's got Paul Dean down to 2, but hey, you might as well run it. He could seal the deal right here.
And it looks like he's just opting to kind of use Marvel as a potential just additional counterspell here. either another negate. He could have looked to just find his Chandra and possibly end the game right away.
But now he has 2 counter spells as backup.
Yeah, potentially. And there's just nothing Paul can do.
Nothing that poor Paul Dean can do. He did finally find a blue mana source, but it was way too late. And Kevin Jones is a turn or 2 away from sealing up a GP trophy. All that money, some nice pro points for Kevin. Got that qualification again.
Yeah. This is not, this is not really what you kind of want to see heading into the finals.
It's not. Yeah, it's disappointing when it ends up like this for sure. For both players, I'm sure. I mean, Kevin will take it, but this wasn't exactly scintillating magic from his perspective either. Even though, he's running over Paul here. Cycle sensor.
Maybe a Sweltering Suns. Maybe he's got a Radiant Flames that he
needs balance to get out of this.
Balance.
Yeah. He can cast it.
He could also flip the table. Just restart the game somehow.
Yeah, Kevin's trying to be polite here. He says, look, I have the negate.
Yep.
And Paul says, yep, that in fact does it. And Kevin Jones is your GP Montreal champion. Congratulations to you. It was a Marvel mirror, but ultimately it came down to lands for both players. And Kevin hit his land drops. Paul Dean was not able to. And we've got our champion. That's going to do it for the finals here from Grand Prix Montreal.